Synth, or to give it its full name Synth Live, is a synthesizer that takes its lead from the analog synthesizers that were popular in the 1980s. Synth uses 3 variable oscillators for its sound sources. Each oscillator has its own individual on-off switch and has a choice of 5 different waveforms. The choices are square, sawtooth, triangle, white noise and sine waveforms. With one small but important difference, all of the oscillators are identical. If your waveform is a square or sine wave, then this pulse width control can be used to further alter your sound. Each oscillator can also be tuned using the coarse and fine controls. The coarse control changes the pitch by up to an octave in any direction in semitone gradients, whereas the fine control operates in increments of cents between -100 cents and +100 cents. You can balance the sound of your 3 oscillators by using the corresponding level control. The last 2 controls allow you to change the amount that the oscillator is affected by the low frequency oscillator and the envelope respectively. To the side of the oscillators you will find 3 different switches, labelled 1, 2 and warm. What these do is to add other voices to the oscillator. Activating 1 will introduce a sound 1 octave higher than the original oscillator. Activating the 2 switch will introduce a sound 2 octaves higher than the original. Lastly, the warm switch adds an additional oscillator that is detuned from the original sound. It is recommended that you only add an octave or 2 octaves above when you're using sine waves. However, triangle waves, because they are similar to sine waves, will also work with sounds 1 octave above. As I mentioned earlier, there is a difference between the oscillators. There is one control that is unique to oscillator 1, and this allows you to ring modulate the sound of the first oscillator by using the second oscillator. This is often used to produce more harsh sounds. The resulting mix of sounds that is created by all of the oscillators is then passed through the volume envelope. The usual suspects of attack, decay, sustain and release can be found here, as well as a master volume control. The sound can then be processed by a state variable filter. This type of filter works in an identical manner to the more standard filter found in synthesizers, but generally will result in a higher quality of audio. The controls for this filter can be found here, and like the oscillators can also be switched off. Starting from the bottom, you can find the cutoff frequency and the emphasis controls. The cutoff frequency sets the level of the low pass filter, whereas the emphasis control is used to boost the signal of the sound around the cutoff frequency. This is commonly called resonance on other synthesizers. The next 2 controls will further filter your sound. The high control will introduce a high pass filter that will filter out the high frequencies in your sound. Note that as this increases, it has the added effect of reducing the level of sound until no sound is allowed to pass. Similarly, the bandpass control will filter out both the high and low ends of the sounds, and like the high control, will also reduce the volume of the sound that is passed through the filters.